Bring you another review. This time it is of Hakkenden, 8 Dogs of the East, episode 8, and this one is called Chance Encounter. Alright, and basically this episode starts off, the guys are returning home from the last adventure on the train, and just before that, actually, this episode starts off with Hamaji's her brothers is dying in the snow, and a spirit comes to him and says, "You want to live? What do you want to live for?" And he's like, "I want to live for my sister." All right, so then the episode starts off with them taking the train ride home. Now the brothers, or the would have been not half brothers, but brothers by marriage of Kambunji and Kampachi and Kambungo. There we go. You got their names right. They have to wait in second class, even though Kampachi wants to ride with Shino, and Shino and Sosuke get first class. Now Shino and Sosuke turned out to ride in the same car as Hamaji's brother, and it's a lot of fun because it starts to get cold in there and in the room, and then Sosuke goes to get something warm to drink. Then it starts to rain, and he's like, well, I would love it to snow, and then it magically snows, and meanwhile, what's his face is like, Hamaji's brother's like, I wonder what he knows. Like, it's interesting. What does this kid know about me? And, or Hamaji. Sorry about that. That was my dog before trying to open the door and come in and play. Yeah, so basically, this whole episode takes place on the train for the most part. And this episode's pretty funny. I laughed a bunch of times. Because although Hamaji's brother, has his seeing ability, he is not used to weird things. So a drunk tried to get in their car, he kicked the drunk out, and all of a sudden Sosuke used a giant eye, the little eye thing. And remember that thing, when wet, sponges up and becomes big and traps the guy there, and he's like, "Oh, it's a giant eye," and I cracked up when that happened. We have a lot. So this episode again is transitional, basically humorous. We get to meet the new character of Hamaji's brother. There's even a funny scene where she's waiting, and she throws like a lamp at Foxboy. And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, they'll be fine." She's like, "Oh, okay." And basically, he's like, "I don't get it. People shouldn't be around me. These guys aren't even fazed by the fact that I'm making." And he touches the glass and freezes the glass. He's like, "I don't get it." So then you have, excuse me. Then you have a monk getting on board the train, and the monk is like, "I sense demons," because technically there's like 4 or 5 of them on the train, but it's all good. So he tracks down the freezing cold to them. Then an ice spirit, he's like, "There's 4 of you in this car, I'm gonna get you." And the ice spirit jumps out of the dude and attacks the monk, and the drunk guy's still on the floor screaming about the giant eyeball that no longer is there, but and the monk ends up getting frozen in ice. He's alive, he's just frozen in ice. And they end up talking, and it turns out that the spirit that's been keeping Hamaji's brother alive is the snow spirit. So there you go. who's friends with Shino. He's like, oh man, the forest spirits have been missing you. Where have you been? Oh, you're with this guy, and she can't talk for a reason, which I'll get into in a little bit. But and he's like, oh, now that you know who she is and you're friends with her, it's crazy. Can you please tell her to leave me alone? She's ruining my life. She kept popping up and into my lap, and then my girlfriend left me. Then my friends left me. Now, and I'm searching. You see, had he just said he was searching for a sister, and had he given them his story, they might have been able to tell him, they would have figured out that they're friends with his sister. But whatever. Yeah, that didn't get to happen. But Shino tells him that she saved your life, and without her, you would die. Meaning he's living off of her. He's like, really? I didn't know that. And she has sacrificed something, and before he could tell him that she sacrificed her voice, she'd give him the shh motion, and so he didn't say anything. So the episode wraps up. They leave the train, and he's like, wouldn't Hamaji's brother's like, wouldn't you rather say goodbye to your friends, or you haven't seen them in so long? And then he's like, wait a minute, I forgot to ask their names. So then they introduce each other, and here's the thing: you would think maybe one of them would recognize the other one's name, but no, that never happens at all. So they give each other their names, and he looks, and Shino does. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Shino's like, oh yeah, Muramasa wants to say goodbye to you. He's like, who? And then the crow comes out of his arm, and it freaks him out. He's like, crow just came out of his arm. I can't handle this. Who are those people? And then that's how the episode apparently ends. But it doesn't. We do get an extra scene after the credits roll, and it's of them getting back to the apartment complex where Kabunji lives, and just like, oh the landlady's like, oh, there goes my son, my wayward son, home so late, and then she yells at them. But then for Shino, she's like, we'll have sakoyaki, and and then so they all eat, and they have a good time, and Kabunji notices that it's a weird crowd that develops there, because you also have the people from the previous story are there too, the evil spirit and the female performer that had wanted what's-his-face dead, Sosuke dead, the female performer. I put that in quotes because it's a dude, it's clearly a dude, but so he's noticing that people are flocking to him like magnets, and it's a crazy bunch of people that are doing this. Which is so... Now, the next episode is going to be called Guard, and it has to do with Hamaji rolling in school, apparently. Part of it, anyway. Now, what did I think about this episode? I thought it was a solid 3. I mean, this episode really made me laugh. It was good. There was no real action in it. I mean, there were some funny action parts to it. I liked the idea of the introduction of the Ice Spirit and her brother. I mean, it kind of sucks they couldn't figure out that, if he had just told them his story, maybe they would have figured out whose sister he's looking for, or if he had said the name of his sister. Oh, yeah. Ugh, yawning so much. But, and then I did miss something. What's-her-face is still sitting at home angry because they hadn't shown up home yet. Hamaji. Yeah, there we go. But, I mean, the episode was really funny. I cracked up a bunch of times, especially the scenes with the big eyes, or when the eye got big, and the end there where the crow jumps out. I mean, all those scenes made me crack up. I mean, because he's the perfect straight guy's reaction to these terrific and wonderful and terrible and terrifying things. So that comedic element isn't lost on me. Again, so it's a 3 out of 5, solid, funny episode, no real action, wasn't expecting it. We're transitioning to another story. I mean, these are like it's like a bunch of little short story adventures leading up to something. So, looking forward to the next episode, and I think that's it. Pretty straightforward episode. New characters, new developments, and lots of fun. So, and again, I don't need a full-on action in every episode. One of these episodes every once in a while is refreshing and a nice break. So, click it up if you like it, comment if you must, and please, please, please subscribe if you can. And this is Alert Wolf signing out.